Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Justina. Welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. So here today I'm going to talk about Venus in Pisces transit that will begin on March the 11th. It will last until April the 4th. Before I get to the forecast for each sign, I just want to give you some facts about Venus in Pisces transit. First of all, Venus never moves more than 48 degrees from the Sun. So this means that Venus is unable to make square aspect or an opposition to the Sun. It takes 584 days to go through the whole of the zodiac, and this means that it stays roughly around 3.5 weeks in each sign. Unless Venus is retrograde, then this would be a different case scenario. But here in 2024, Venus will not be stationing retrograde, so it's really good news. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which means that it's very strong and happy. And also Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra. When Venus transits through any zodiac sign, it brings a lot of changes into how we perceive relationships, how we perceive love, creativity, beauty. As Venus is the planet of love, it governs our sensual and our emotional side of psyche, and its transit can significantly influence our desires, our reactions. Now, when Venus transits from one sign to another, it carries with her new energies and influences, creating different experiences, different sort of energies. With Venus in Pisces, we become more compassionate, more empathetic, more understanding. We become more sensitive to the needs of others. But at the same time, very often we are more willing to put the needs of others before our own. So here, something to remember is to set clear boundaries, clear and healthy boundaries with others, but at the same time to stay grounded in reality, because it's very easy to become overly idealistic, overly dreamy and romantic during this time. So it's all okay as long as you are grounded in the reality, as long as you're conscious of the choices you will be making around this transit as well. All right, so now let's see what this transit will mean for you on a deeper level. So here I will explore this transit influence for each zodiac sign. We will look also at conjunction with Saturn that Venus will form throughout its stay in Pisces. So here you can find the timestamps in the comments section. And here, this horoscope is most accurate for your rising sign. However, you can also watch it for your moon sign or your sun sign if you wish, just to get a bigger picture, a wider perspective upon your life. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you now. All right, so hello Aries and welcome to your Venus in Pisces transit. So here Venus will be in your 12th house. The 12th house generally deals with hidden matters, spirituality, anything to do with the subconscious mind as well. So overall, with Venus in the 12th house, this transit can really strongly influence your sense of love, your sense of compassion, spirituality. The 12th house is associated with your subconscious mind, with hidden emotions, your connection with the divine. And while Venus represents our sense of beauty, love, harmony, here with Venus in the 12th house, you may have a very strong desire for forming deeper connections with other people, perhaps for spiritual connection. You might have a strong need for compassion, for love. Very often when Venus transits the 12th house, there are situations when you are involved in some charity work. Perhaps you could be involved in some charity work, volunteering. Perhaps you'll be taking care of a friend or a family member who will need your support, your help, and perhaps they might be at an institution, at a hospital. So overall here, Venus in the 12th house in Pisces gives you this natural empathy, a talent to understand the emotions of others. So here, this is also connected to coaching, mentoring, and generally supporting others emotionally. during this time. And here with this placement, there's also a tendency towards self-sacrifice at times as well. And overall, with Venus in a 12th house in Pisces, you might be prone to taking other people's emotional burdens. You might see that people perhaps have a need to share or even overshare their emotional problems or issues. So it's really essential also that you remember about setting healthy boundaries, because with Venus in the 12th house in Pisces, it might be more difficult to distinguish the fantasy from reality. It might be more difficult to stay grounded as well. But at the same time, you might also perhaps neglect your own needs during this time as well. So overall here, while this desire for compassion is increased and empathy towards others, it's really important to generally to find a healthy balance between your need, your desire for compassion, for empathy, for spiritual connection, with sense of self-care, self-awareness as well. Because during this time, you might need to work on developing healthy sense of boundaries as well. Because as I mentioned just a moment ago, you might be prone to take on too much. Or perhaps you neglect your own needs. And this could generally result in low energy or low mood, essentially, as well. So overall here, Venus in the 12th house, it's an amazing, amazing transit that can generally bring a sense of compassion, spiritual connection in your life. But at the same time, it's really important to embrace this energy while also being mindful of the importance of self-care, self-love, especially when it comes to maintaining healthy relationships and to achieving your long-term goals. Now, on the 21st, Venus will conjoin with Saturn in Pisces, and this is a very important transit. It will be at 12 degrees. So have a look if you have any placements at around 12 degrees here in your 12th house, because this will influence you much deeper. And overall, when Venus and Saturn meet in your 12th house in Pisces, this can bring up issues related to love, relationships, something that perhaps has been buried deeply within you. And perhaps this may come up as a result of a conversation that you'll have with another person, important decision that you will have to make. Now, here, since the 12th house is associated with hidden or subconscious aspects of ourselves, this generally Saturn's influence can add a sense of restriction as well, or limitation in the issue, in the matters connected to love, relationships, and perhaps it might be more difficult during this time to express your feelings or perhaps to connect with others, even though you might be craving that deep connection. But at this point, when Saturn and Venus conjoin, it might be more difficult to express these deep emotions, these deep feelings. Now, at the same time, this transit, since Venus rules over your second house, Venus and Saturn conjunction can affect your financial situation. Perhaps you'll be making some important transactions, decisions, since Venus also rules money and material possessions. So perhaps during this time, it's another time to take financial risks, because you might experience delays, you might experience setbacks in financial matters. Or perhaps you'll have to be more disciplined when it comes to your spendings, when it comes to your spending habits. So generally, this will be a good time for reassessing your financial situation, your values, your priorities, in order generally so that you make better decisions, better financial decisions moving forward, but at the same time, so that your financial decisions align with your long-term goals. So on a different level, this could be also a time here around the 21st, and this would probably be around the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So it's a few days influence here. And this could be a time of also introspection, reflection. During this time, you could be exploring the deeper aspects of your relationships, of your finances as well. Perhaps you'll be taking a more structured more disciplined approach to these areas of your life moving forward. But here, whenever Saturn is triggered, influenced, here in a conjunction, especially because here this is a new cycle as well between Venus and Saturn, this is when you can generally lay the groundwork for much stronger and much more stable future moving forward. So here, I think this could be an important time, and you will be making some significant decisions in your life. All right, so let's now move on to the next planet. It's not planet sign, and this is we've got Taurus. We've got Venus in Pisces in your 11th house. So here, friendships, groups, and it's a big theme overall in March, with that 11th house being so strongly influenced. So overall here, while Venus travels through your 11th house, because it will only reach Saturn around the 21st, and you will already begin to feel this influence from the 18th, more or less, since Venus is also your ruler. So whenever Venus transits or changes signs overall, it impacts your approach to love, relationships, connections with other people, your spending habits as well. And overall, with Venus in your 11th house, so this will impact your friendships, your social networks, your community involvement, since the 11th house is connected to our ability to connect with others on a social level. So when Venus transits this area of your life, this generally greatly influences your attitude towards social connections, networking, social relationships. Generally, it impacts also your involvement in the world around you. So during this transit here, you might feel a really strong desire for social engagements, for community involvement. Perhaps you could be joining new groups. Perhaps there could be opportunities for social gatherings, outings, and generally you might be more inclined to connect with like-minded people who share similar values, similar interests to yours. You might also experience a much stronger and a much greater sense of appreciation for beauty, for aesthetics in relation to your social networks, community activities. I think there could be opportunities for going to the theater, opera, museum with your friends, your partner, with the group you belong to. So overall, with Venus in the 11th house, this is a really, really great time for getting involved in causes that inspire you. And this could be also when you'll be working towards creating a more harmonious world around you. Venus is connected to harmony, to balance. And overall, the focus during this time is on social relationships, on connections with other people. And overall, during this time here, if you engage in social activities that align with your personal values, with your interests, you can really experience a much greater sense of fulfillment, of happiness in your life. And on March the 21st, Venus will connect with Saturn. So this is a really important conjunction here during this cycle, and this is generally a new cycle between Venus and Saturn as well. Overall, Venus and Saturn conjunction in your friendship area can bring a time of stability, a time of discipline, responsibility, even when it comes to your social networks, group activities. Perhaps you'll be working on some important project goal with other people in a group environment. Perhaps this is also connected to your long-term goals and hopes and plans. Perhaps you'll be taking a more serious approach to your long-term goals and plans. But at the same time here, with that Saturnian influence, the planet connected to discipline, to structure, hard work. Generally here, this conjunction also suggests that you might feel a stronger sense of responsibility towards your social networks, towards group activities. And perhaps you'll be concentrating on building more stable and long-lasting connections, friendships, in your life around this time. Now, you might be also drawn to activities that stimulate or promote harmony, balance, and overall here, this is connected to cooperation, teamwork among your peers. Now, here, Venus and Saturn conjunction may also bring up issues related to limitations and restrictions here under that Saturnian influence. And overall, perhaps for some, this could play out in a way that you might feel a sense of pressure or perhaps a sense of responsibility, obligation when it comes to conforming to certain social norms or perhaps expectations. And perhaps you might need to work harder than usual to achieve certain goals, certain objectives in these areas of your life. So overall here, this is a time here to stay disciplined and then you concentrate on your goals, on your long-term goals. That's Saturn. Saturn doesn't like shortcuts. So by staying productive and determined, here you can really achieve some interesting goals, but at the same time, you will be able to face any difficulties or setbacks that come along here with that disciplined and determined attitude. During this time, you might also feel like you want to reflect or perhaps reassess some of your friendships, some of your connections with other people, and that's absolutely fine. Perhaps this could be also when you might decide it's time to let go, detach from some friendships, connections in your life, especially with people who or groups who no longer align with your values, with your goals. And then this way you can also make space for new opportunities to come your way for growth, personal growth as well. Now let's see what's happening for Geminis. So Geminis, this is happening in your 10th house. And this is your career that's influenced, your outside world, your public life overall. So here with Venus transiting your 10th house, this generally brings a lot of attention upon your career, upon your reputation, your public image. Now, the 10th house is, of course, associated with your sense of purpose, your ability to make a contribution to society. This is also the area that rules your professional life growth, development. And with Venus transiting this area of your life, generally that Venusian energy can really strongly influence your attitude towards work, towards your public reputation, your public image. And during this transit, you might feel a greater desire for success, for recognition, especially in your outside world, especially in your career. And generally, you might be more inclined to concentrate on your professional goals, on your aspirations, on your objectives. You might experience a much greater sense of appreciation for beauty, aesthetics, in relation to your work environment, to your public image as well. You might receive lots of compliments. Perhaps this could be a time of recognition as well, because when Venus transits the 10th house, it can generally bring heightened sense of inspiration as well when it comes to your professional goals and aspiration. It's overall a great time to pursue career opportunities that overall align with your personal values, your sense of purpose. And at the same time, Venus could bring a lot of harmony and balance into this area of your life as well. So overall here, a time, it's a really positive energy here and an energy that helps you to be noticed, appreciated. And perhaps this could also mean some kind of increased sense of fulfillment, success in your life during this time as well. And on the 21st, Venus will conjoin with Saturn at 12 degrees. Of course, this transit will be, or this conjunction will be already activated a few days prior, probably 18th, 19th, and it will last until around the 23rd of March. So we've got a few days of Venus and Saturn influence here that will generally bring a mix of energies, perhaps a little bit of challenging energies and rewarding energies to your professional life, to your outside world. This conjunction can put a spotlight on your relationships, on your financial matters related to your career, related to your professional growth and development. Overall, Saturn's influence can bring a sense of restriction and discipline, or maybe even responsibility when it comes to your career goals, objectives, aspirations. And perhaps during this time, you might need to work harder than usual to achieve your goals. But at the same time, remember that if you are determined and if you work hard, then Saturn will bring rewards. You will be rewarded in the long term, in the long run. So overall, this is a good time here with Venus and Saturn conjunction in your 10th house to take a more serious and a more strategic approach to your career. This is a time to set clear goals and set deadlines as well for yourself, realistic deadlines. Now, here Venus can generally bring a desire for harmony and balance in your professional life, and you might feel more drawn to some creative projects. Perhaps you'll be seeking more meaningful, more fulfilling also experiences, connections. Perhaps this could be connected to some business networking, a new client, a new project. This sort of dynamics will be very much the case, but at the same time, this transit can also bring some financial opportunities related to your career, but this will highly depend on other transits, other influences in your personal chart. So this is generally here, might not apply to everyone. Now, here, this transit is overall fantastic for growth and generally for transformation in your career, but you need to take it seriously. You need to take a more disciplined approach because at this point, in a way here, you are laying or creating a solid foundation for long-term success, for long-term fulfillment in your career. So here, be prepared for hard work, and perhaps this is when you will be making some tough decisions as well. All right, so now Cancers. Cancers, for you, this is going to happen in your 9th house. And the 9th house is connected to foreign places, foreign travel, life direction. Now, if you're going to be traveling during this time, perhaps you'll be traveling with your female friend or with your romantic partner, or perhaps for business purposes as well, since we've got Saturn present here. The locations connected to Pisces include Portugal, Normandy, Calabria in Sicily, Reims in France, Compostela in Spain, and Worms and Ratisbon in Germany. I remember telling you about these locations in the March horoscopes as well, but here, if you've haven't watched the monthly horoscope for March, then here these are the locations that you might be visiting during this time. Overall, Venus can really can be connected to a beautiful trip you may take, but at the same time here there's a lot of focus during this time on higher education, on freedom, independence, on adventure, travel, and maybe even teaching. The 9th house is associated with our sense of adventure, our ability to broaden our horizons, wisdom. And Venus transits through this house can really strongly influence your attitude towards your belief system, your life principles, your philosophy, your personal growth as well. And during this time, you might feel much greater desire for adventure. Perhaps you'll be more inclined to explore new places, new cultures, new ideas, and you may also experience a much greater sense of appreciation for beauty, for aesthetics as well. When it comes to anything to do with spirituality, anything to do with learning, working on creative projects, traveling to some beautiful locations, or visiting some beautiful places with beautiful architecture abroad, for example. Here, Venus can really inspire you and help you to grow substantially. Now, so here, this is a just great time for studying, for personal growth, personal development as well. Generally, anything that can expand your horizons, wisdom, knowledge can bring a lot of joy and fulfillment. So I think it's a really lovely transit to have here in during the month of March. And Venus will conjoin with Saturn on the 21st at 12 degrees. And during this time, so around the 21st, I think around 18th, 19th, you will already feel this influence of this transit until the 22nd, 23rd. Overall, Venus and Saturn conjunction in your ninth house can bring a seriousness in the air. Perhaps this could be also when you will be reflecting upon matters related to higher education, your life philosophy, your life principles, and you might be prompted to reevaluate your belief system. Perhaps you will be seeking a deeper understanding of the world around you. This is overall a time to reflect on your values, on your principles, and see how they align with your goals, with your ambitions. And this transit can also bring a sense of responsibility or duty towards people or causes that you care about. So overall, this could be a time of introspection, a time when you'll be seeking a much deeper meaning of life. Right, so let's have a look at Leos now. Leos, this is happening in your 8th house, the house of transformation, regeneration, deep and profound matter. So when Venus transits through your 8th house of Pisces, it can really turn your attention upon your intimate life, upon topics connected to transformation, shared resources, joint resources, mortgage, debts, loans, overall deep and profound topics and matters. Now, here, the 8th house is generally associated with our ability to connect with others on a much deeper and much meaningful level. And when Venus transits through this house, it can really strongly influence our attitude towards intimacy, financial matters, transformation as well. So during this time, you may feel a really strong desire for connecting with another on a much deeper and profound level. You may experience a deepening of your emotional connections with others during this time as well. Now, here, you might also feel a greater sense of passion, of intensity in your romantic relationships, and perhaps you'll be more inclined to explore or engage in activities that bring you closer to your partner, for example. So here with Venus transiting through your 8th house, generally Venus brings a heightened sense of awareness when it comes to your shared and joint resources, financial matters, in particular, particularly in relation to your partnerships, joint ventures. So this is overall a really good time to discuss financial matters openly, honestly, and especially here with your partners or with business partners. On the 21st, Venus and Pisces will conjoin in Saturn at 12 degrees. Now, this influence will be felt a few days prior, I would say around the 18th, 19th, until around the 23rd. Here, Venus and Saturn conjunction in your 8th house can bring some really intense emotional experiences, and generally it can lead to a deeper understanding of your innermost desires, of your fears. The 8th house is associated with transformation, intimacy, shared resources. So generally, this conjunction may also bring changes to your personal relationships, to your financial situation. Perhaps you'll be making some important decisions as well. So whatever that you decide what you do, make sure that you are determined, that you're disciplined around this time. Because here with Saturn's influence, this is about creating a solid foundation or some long-term fulfillment in the area of transformation, intimate life as well, joint and shared resources. All right, so overall, it's really important to approach this conjunction with an open mind, with a willingness to generally learn from the lessons that emerge or come up around this time as well. Right, so now Virgos, for you, this is happening in your 7th house. The 7th house, of course, love is in the air here. Very often when Venus stays in the 7th house, this generally has a positive impact upon our relationships, upon our partnerships, love life as well. And here with Venus in your seventh house in Pisces, generally the focus here is on relationships, partnerships, social connections as well, people with whom you have contracts. This is the house of contracts as well as love, relationships, partnerships. So overall, the seventh house is associated with our ability to form meaningful connections with others. And when Venus transits through this house, it can really strongly influence your attitude towards love, romance, partnerships. And during this time, you might feel a much stronger desire for romance. You may attract a new love interest, or perhaps this could be about deepening your existing relationships. And you might also experience a greater sense of harmony, of balance in your relationships. You might feel inclined to compromise, to work towards mutual goals. Now, this is also a good time to generally concentrate your energies on creating harmonious and beautiful relationships, to cultivate a sense of balance, of fairness in your interactions with others. And overall, here with Venus in the seventh house, this transit can lead to you experiencing a greater sense of fulfillment, of happiness in your personal relationships. And at the same time, Venus will conjoin with Saturn on the 21st of March. This influence will already start around the 18th, 19th. It will last until around the 23rd. And it will be at 12 degrees of Pisces. So here with Venus and Saturn conjunction here in your seventh house, generally this can bring a sense of seriousness, of responsibility to your love life, to your relationships, partnerships. And here, this conjunction highlights the emotional, the spiritual aspects of your relationships. Perhaps you'll feel a sense of restriction or limitation in your partnerships during this time. And it might be necessary for you to take a more of a disciplined and perhaps more structured approach to your relationships. Here, Saturn's influence can bring up issues related to commitment, to loyalty, to trust, responsibility, and perhaps you may need to work through any challenges or any obstacles that come up around this time in your personal relationships. Now, this transit can also affect your business partnerships, collaborations, and negotiations as well. So during this time, you generally will have to take a more of a disciplined, more organized approach to these areas of your life, because you might experience delays. There could be some setbacks in any agreements, contracts that you might be dealing with around this time. So overall here, for some Virgos, could also play out in a way that this could be a time of introspection, a reflection, as perhaps you're going to be assessing the health, the stability of your partnerships. Now, here, if you're going to be struggling a little bit, even emotionally, here, this is generally a time to be disciplined and to have a more of a structured approach, patient approach to your contracts, relationships, because you can build a stronger and a more stable foundation for your relationships, collaborations, partnerships around this time, as long as you are determined, disciplined, and more organized around this time. And with that and probably the organized bit is not hard, because that's one of the Virgo qualities. Libras, for you, this is your sixth house of work, everyday routine, of your lifestyle, of your health. So with Venus transiting your sixth house, and that's your ruler also. So whenever our ruler is in a particular area of our life by a transit, this is where our attention is really, really centered around. So here for you, this is your health, work, daily routines, and overall the sixth house is associated with our physical well-being, our ability to serve others. And overall here, Venus transits through the sixth house can really strongly impact your attitude towards your work, towards your daily responsibilities, daily habits. And overall, you might feel a stronger need to take care of your physical health, of your well-being. Perhaps you'll be looking into developing healthy habits or different routines, much healthier routines. And you might also experience a stronger sense of satisfaction. Remember, Venus is connected to balance, harmony, and this could also lead to fulfillment in your work. especially in the work that involves helping others or serving a higher purpose. Now, Venus in the sixth house could also increase your sugar cravings very often, because with Venus, we want to have a little bit of fun, pleasure. Venus in the sixth house can also positively influence your workspace, and during this time, you might develop perhaps or implement some new daily habits that can bring more joy into your daily routine as well. All right, so that's here a little bit about Venus. And now Venus will conjoin with Saturn on the 21st of March at 12 degrees of Pisces. This conjunction will be activated a few days before this conjunction is exact. So I would say 18th, 19th until 23rd. And during this time, you might feel a really, really strong sense of responsibility towards your work, towards your health, so health-related matters. And perhaps you might be very committed to your job, and you might be taking it very, very seriously. Perhaps this is about some major project you'll be working on. But at the same time, issues connected to self-doubt or insecurity may come up during this time for some Libras. And this can also indicate that perhaps you might have a stronger need for structure in your daily life. Perhaps you might have a stronger need for being more organized with your daily routine, daily responsibilities. Perhaps you desire more harmony, more balance in your relationships. So while this conjunction can bring challenges and opportunities, it can also be a time of personal growth, personal development, as you perhaps will be implementing some adjustments into how your daily life is structured, how you operate on daily basis. All right, so now here, let's have a look at the next sign, and that's Scorpio. Scorpio, this is happening in your fifth house. Creativity, romance, and children are highlighted here for you. And when Venus transits this area of your life, this is where your attention is centered around creativity, romance, self-expression. And overall, the fifth house is connected to our inner child, our ability to express ourselves authentically, children, romance. So overall, when Venus transits through this house, it can really strongly influence our attitude towards love, fun, entertainment, artistic expression as well. And during this time, you might feel more inclined to follow or initiate or get involved in some creative projects or hobbies, especially the ones that will bring you joy, fulfillment. Saturn has brought probably a lot of seriousness into your life. There isn't that much fun when Saturn transits the fifth house. It's a lot of responsibilities, work. I definitely didn't have much social life since Saturn entered my fifth house. So hopefully Venus will bring some fun. And during this time, you might also experience a greater desire for romance. Perhaps you will attract new love, new interests, or deepen existing relationships. So generally, Venus is now approaching the houses connected to love and romance. Venus in the fifth, Venus in the seventh, when Venus moves into Taurus, these are the times to generally get yourself out there, go on a date, seek love, because Venus really, really here brings a lot of opportunities for new love interests, for romance and passion as well. This could be also a time of healing in a positive sense, a time when you can find the inner strength to express yourself, to express your creative urges more authentically, more freely, for example. So Venus will conjoin with Saturn on the 21st at 12 degrees in your fifth house of creativity, romance, children. And here, this conjunction will be activated probably around the 18th, 19th until the 23rd of March, exact on the 21st. So overall, Venus and Saturn conjunction can bring a sense of seriousness, responsibility to matters connected to love, romance, and creative self-expression. But at the same time, this transit can also manifest as a desire for stability, commitment as well, something long-lasting. when it comes to romantic relationships. But at the same time, you might feel very driven to create something of lasting value when it comes to any artistic or creative project. So here with Venus and Saturn conjunction in your fifth house, for some Scorpio rising, this could also play out in a way when you might experience a sense of restriction or limitation when it comes to love, creativity, for example. So here it's really important to be aware of self-imposed limitations, restrictions, barriers that might be holding you back. So really pay attention to your thoughts, to your feelings around this time, because this could be a time of greater self-awareness when it comes to matters connected to love or any blockages that you might be experiences that are holding you back from experience, fulfillment, and romance in your life. Now, here during this time, it's also important to find a balance between structure and spontaneity. So here, Saturn is present since last year. Yes, structure, determination, hard work, but also Venus helps you to be a little bit more spontaneous and playful during this time as well. All right, so now let's have a look at the next sign. Thank you very much. Sagittarius, this is happening in your fourth house. And the fourth house has been really strongly emphasized for many. And Venus in the fourth can overall mean that you'll be beautifying your home space, renovating. And there's a strong attention centered around your home, family, emotional well-being. And here the fourth house is, of course, associated with our roots, our heritage, our parents, our childhood, our sense of security. And when Venus is here, this can really strongly influence our relationships with our loved ones and also our attitude towards our home environment, domestic environment, family dynamics as well. So generally during this time, you might feel a really, really strong desire to create a beautiful and harmonious home environment. Perhaps this is when you'll be enjoying spending more time with your family members, with your loved ones. Perhaps you'll be hosting some family events during this time. Now, with Venus transiting your fourth house, this is when you may experience a greater sense of emotional fulfillment, of comfort. Venus is exalted in Pisces, very strong and happy. So generally, Venus transiting your fourth house, it can bring a heightened sense of creativity and inspiration when it comes to decorating your home, when it comes to your domestic life overall. So overall, this is a great time to make changes to your living space, especially changes that will reflect your personal sense of style, of beauty. I think this is a great time to perhaps create a more harmonious and peaceful living arrangements at your home. Now, with Venus in the fourth house, this is also when you can experience a sense of comfort, a sense of security in your home environment. And here, when Venus connects with Saturn at 12 degrees of Pisces on the 21st of March, bear in mind this conjunction will be activated around the 18th, 19th of March. It will last until about the 23rd. This is generally when you may experience a really strong need for security, stability in your home or in your home life. Now, Saturn and Venus conjunction can bring a lot of emotional depth and intensity to your personal life. Here, this conjunction can also bring up feelings of nostalgia, a desire to connect with your roots, with your ancestry. So perhaps you might have this strong need to reconnect with your family members or organize a gathering. Perhaps you'll be also looking at pictures or some sentimental objects from the past that connect you to your memories from childhood. So it's a really fantastic time also to concentrate on building a solid foundation for your personal life, a foundation that makes you feel more emotionally secure and safe. A foundation that meets your emotional needs as well. Okay, so now we will look at Capricorns. Capricorns, this is your third house. And when Venus transits through your third house of Pisces, it can generally turn your attention upon communication, upon learning, upon your social connections as well. Now, the third house is associated with our mental processes, our ability to communicate effectively. And Venus transit through this house can generally very strongly influence your connections with others, your attitude towards learning, your communication style might feel really, really inspired to write around this during the duration of this transit. You might feel more sociable during this time, more outgoing, and overall you may enjoy just connecting with others through conversations, through social media, perhaps catching up with friends and associates, or perhaps through different forms of communication, blogging, journaling, podcasting, for example. And overall, you might also experience an increase in intellectual curiosity, perhaps a desire to learn new things, especially in the area of creativity, of art, beauty, aesthetics. And Venus in the third house can bring a heightened sense of creativity, self-expression, and especially in relation to your communicating style, your writing capabilities as well. So it's a really great time to express your thoughts, your ideas in a way that is both meaningful, valuable, and beautiful. Right, so on the 21st, Venus and Saturn will conjoin, your ruler Saturn, and Venus will conjoin at 12 degrees of Pisces. And this influence will already start around the 19th of March, and it will last until about the 23rd. So here, Venus and Saturn conjunction it can bring about the sense of seriousness, responsibility when it comes to your communication style, when it comes to your social connections. And you might feel a need to express yourself in a more practical, more grounded way. Saturn doesn't like superficiality. So it's all about being practical, grounded, authentic in your communication style. This could be about making some important decisions as well. And this transit can also bring some challenges or perhaps some difficulties in your connection with a sibling, next of kin, or someone from your community. Perhaps you might feel restricted or limited in your ability to connect with others around this time. And at the same time, there could be also an opportunity to build deeper and more meaningful connections based on trust, based on loyalty, based on mutual respect. So while this transit could make you reflect and think deeper about some connections in your life, it could also bring this opportunity for building something stronger and deeper. But whatever the scenario, with Venus and Saturn conjunction, with Saturn being your ruler as well, it's about being patient, disciplined, persistent in your efforts when it comes to connecting with others, when it comes to delivering an important message around this time, when it comes to signing contracts, working on your website. Perhaps you'll be launching or working on your website around this time. So whatever the scenario, you need to take a more of a disciplined, responsible approach, because during this time, you might be also setting or setting some important goals for the future, or laying a grounding foundation of something that will show its fruits in the near future. All right, so let's move on. Let's look at Aquarius. Aquarius, for you, this is happening in your second house, so your income, finances, this area is very much emphasized. Now, here with Venus transiting through your second house, so generally your attention is centered around material resources, possessions, your income, finances, and values, personal values, self-worth, and also a sense of security. Venus transiting through this area of your life, it generally influences your attitude towards money, possessions, abundance. And during this time, you might feel more inclined to indulge in luxurious objects, experiences. Perhaps you might treat yourself to something special. Venus has an expensive taste when it transits the second house, so you might be craving a little bit of luxury around this time, but also you might experience an increase in your financial area of life or attract new opportunities, possibilities to earn money, to increase your finances in some way. And it's really important to be generally mindful of your spendings, or perhaps sort of becoming too focused on material possessions, because this can lead to a sense of emptiness, a sense of dissatisfaction in the long run. Material possessions satisfy; it's a temporary satisfaction. So for this reason, it's important to be mindful of your spendings during this time, especially if you will be craving lots of different objects of desires. And here, Venus in the second house can also bring a heightened sense of appreciation for beauty, for aesthetics, especially when it comes to your possessions, your surroundings as well. And during this time, you might be thinking about perhaps investing in experiences, possessions, that will bring joy, that will enhance your sense of comfort, of security. So here, by balancing your desire for material comfort with a focus on inner wealth, on self-worth, you can experience a sense of fulfillment or a greater sense of satisfaction. And on the 21st, Venus and Saturn will conjoin at 12 degrees of Pisces in your second house. And this can be a time of introspection, perhaps a time when you'll be reflecting on your values, on your finances, personal relationships. You might feel a sense of restriction or limitation, perhaps when it comes to your income capabilities, your finances, depending on your circumstances. So it's really important to use this energy constructively. Learn from the challenges that arise around this time. This is a great time to reassess your financial goals, to make plan for the future. It's a great time also to work on building more secure and supportive relationships with those around you, with those you care about. So I think it's important to generally embrace the lessons that come your way during this time. And this could be a time of growth, this transit, this conjunction, a time of when you'll be implementing some important adjustments into this area of your life. Perhaps you'll be making some important financial decisions, transactions. So here, this is a time to be responsible with your spendings, with your outgoings during this time, especially around the 21st, when this conjunction will take place. Right, so now Pisces. So Pisces, this is happening in your first house. Venus in the first house, exalted in Pisces. I think this is fantastic. It will bring spark, fun, joy, especially since Saturn has been in your first house since last year, March the 7th. It could have brought a lot of seriousness and perhaps not that much fun into your life. And here Venus will help you to find more joy, and maybe you'll become more playful around this time as well. Overall, with Venus in the first house, you might feel like you want to pamper yourself. There's generally a greater attention and focus on your personal appearance, self-expression, and also here on how you relate to others. The first house is connected to your identity, your physical body, and the way you present yourself to the world. And Venus transiting your first house, it can greatly influence your sense of self-worth, your confidence as well. With Venus transiting your first house, you might be more inclined to concentrate on your physical appearance. Perhaps you'll be updating your wardrobe, trying new hairstyles, a new makeup look, and generally you might feel more confident and more comfortable in your interactions with others. And generally, this can also attract new love interests. It can help you to deepen existing relationships. Venus here in the first house generally gives you like really positive vibes, energies, and helps you to attract the right people, the right opportunities into your life. Now, here with Venus in the first house, it's really important to remember that Venus in the first house can also bring a heightened sense of superficiality. So it's really important to balance your desire for external beauty with a focus on your inner qualities, on inner values. Overall, with Venus in the first house, this is a time to embrace your unique qualities, to express yourself authentically. Now, Venus will conjoin with Saturn on 21st at 12 degrees of Pisces. And this conjunction will be already activated around the 19th of March. It will last until 21st. It can bring a bit of seriousness into the air, and more of a disciplined approach when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your personal values. Perhaps you'll be making some important decisions as well, connected to your relationships, connected to your personal goals as well. Here, Venus and Saturn conjunction can make you maybe more cautious around the 21st when it comes to expressing your feelings, your emotions. Perhaps this is a time when you will experience greater depth or commitment in your relationship. Perhaps you will be committing to a major life goal as well, something of a long-lasting nature. So overall, this transit, this conjunction can bring a really, really strong attention upon self-discipline, determination, personal responsibility. As you work towards establishing a more solid sense of self, a more solid sense of identity. So I think something that has already started and it was initiated when Saturn moved into your first house. Venus brings a little bit of more spark, but here that self-discipline, determination is still in place. And it might not be the easiest transit conjunction, but generally it can lead to growth, personal growth, maturity, especially when it comes to your personal life, your personal goals, and maybe even your relationships as well. All right, so thank you very much, Pisces. All right, so we reached the final sign for this forecast. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish you a pleasant and an enjoyable Venus in Pisces transit. And until the next time, bye for now.